Good day to you. Welcome to Citadel Academy. In our last lesson, we looked at variables and data types in Java. In today's lesson, we'll create some variables in Java and display them on the console. Without further ado, let's get into the lesson for today. Now, first things first, you go ahead and open up your VS Code. So you open up your VS Code and then on this icon here, click on this icon here and then type in the name of our class. Let's call this class, let's say variables.java. Then enter. So let's type in our normal Java syntax: public class variables, then our curly brace. So we go, you say public static void main, open your bracket, string with a capital letter S, string, square brackets, then args, and then close it and then open up your curly brace. So we come here, let me just put a comment of the data types that we'll be creating. So we have byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean, and string. So these are the data types we'll be creating. Okay, let's go ahead and create a variable. Now I want you to know that there are two ways of creating a variable. Okay, so I'm going to show you the two ways of creating a variable. Okay, so now let's start with the string first of all. So take for instance, we have a string. Let's create a variable of type string. Okay, so we say string and then let's give this variable a name. So let's say the name of this variable is YouTube handle. Okay, so let's put a semicolon and then we can go ahead and now let's assign a value to this variable YouTube handle. So you say YouTube handle equal to, which is what we call assignment operator. Okay, it's called assignment operator. So you say equal to your double quotes and then Citadel Academy and then you put your semicolon at the end of it. So this is what we've successfully done. Okay, let me add this system.out.print line. So let me say YouTube handle and then go outside the brackets and then put my semicolon. So this is what we successfully done. Now we created a variable. Okay, before creating a variable, okay, you have to know what kind of data will that variable contain. Okay, you have to know that. Since we said we want our variable to store characters or sentences, that means it must be of type string. So we want a variable that is of type string. What it means is that this variable cannot store a number. It can only store characters or sequence of characters, okay, or sentences. Then now, since you say this is the type of variable we want, fine, no problem. We now went ahead and say, okay, this is the name of this variable, YouTube handle. So we've given this variable a name. So we have a variable with the name YouTube handle. And what kind of data type is this variable? Is of type string. Okay, that means it can only store string values. Okay, so on the next line, we came to the next line and called the name of this variable we created here. We came here and still type in the name of the variable, and then we use the equality sign, which is what we call assignment operator. Okay, we use this assignment operator. We assigned with this assignment operator, we assigned a value to this YouTube handle, to this variable. Now we assign the value Citadel Academy. Now the double quotes, the reason why I use double quotes is because it's of type string. Anything that is of type string, okay, it must be within double quotes. It must be within double quotes. There's nothing you can do about it. Anything of type string must be within a double quote. That's why I use the double quote. Now what we did was that this variable we created, YouTube handle, we just called it here and we say, okay, this is the value we want this variable to contain. Okay, that's what we did. We say this is the value Citadel Academy, this is what we want this variable to contain. Okay, so we went to the next line and we said system.out.println YouTube handle. what we did, instead of putting in our normal double quotes, let's say for instance, let me just copy this, let me copy this and then paste it here, for instance. So instead of doing something like this, putting double quotes inside the bracket and then type the whatever we want to be displayed on the console, no, there is no need for that. Since we've created a variable that holds this value, here, we've created a variable here that holds this value, and here is the value you can see that this variable hold. So instead of coming here to type this again, there is no point. We can simply just call the name of this variable, and whatever is contained inside this variable, which is this, will get printed on the console. So instead of typing this, we can go ahead and do away with this. Okay, we do away with this and leave it the way it is, like this. Okay, so what this means is that system.out.print, that means whatever this variable, this YouTube handle contains, which is this, okay, you can see YouTube handle contains this variable. Since this is what this Citadel Academy is, what is inside this YouTube handle, that is what will get displayed on the console. Okay, so now let's save this, Ctrl S, and then let's click on the three dots, go to terminal and then new terminal. Okay, so our terminal has opened up. Then we type in java and then the name of our class, which is variables.java. Okay, press enter. Now it has successfully compiled. So we type in java and then to run the program, okay, variables, press enter. So you notice Citadel Academy get displayed on the console. So this is what we want to be displayed on the console. System.out.print. Okay, I think let me just remove this space. Okay, yeah. So it says system.out.print YouTube handle, and this is what get displayed on the console. Why? Because YouTube handle contains this value. This is the value that YouTube handle contains. So it is the value that this variable contains that will get displayed on the console, as you have seen. So this is how string variables work. Actually, this is the first way of creating a variable. The first step we did here is called declaration. As you have seen, we declared the variable here. We declared the variable YouTube handle to be of type string. So this is called declaration. And then the second step here is called assignment. Okay, this is where we assigned a value to this variable we created here. We came here and assigned a value, Citadel Academy, to this particular variable we created here. We just wrote the name here again, and then we assign a value, Citadel Academy, to it. So this first step is called declaration, and this second step is called assignment. So this is the first way of creating a variable in Java. The second way of creating a variable in Java, so here let's create the same variable of type string. So we say string with the name, let's give it YouTube handle. String YouTube handle is equal to Citadel Academy. Now this is what we've successfully done. What we've done here is that we successfully created a variable YouTube handle with a value Citadel Academy. Okay, this way of creating a variable is what we call initialization. So we created a variable of type string, and the name of that variable is YouTube handle. And what is the value of this YouTube handle? What does it contain? It contains Citadel Academy. When we let's save this, Ctrl S, and then let's try to recompile this. So let's run it. So you see, it's all the same output. The result is all the same. Okay, so you can decide to use the first way of creating a variable or the second way of creating a variable. Let's look at the byte data type. So let me do away with this. Let's do away with this. Okay, and then let's say byte. Let's create a variable of byte. Let's say byte number, for instance. Now number equal to, let's say, 120. Okay, let's we have to come here, system.out.print YouTube handle. We have to come here and change it to number. That's the name of the variable. Now the name of this variable here, we have to change it here. You can decide to use this second way of creating a variable. You can decide to use this one. Okay, you can decide to use this one, this way of creating a variable, and you can also decide to use this other way of creating a variable. Okay, you can also decide to use this other way. This will all give you the same output. Okay, so for most cases, I will be using the second way of creating a variable called initialization. I will be using the initialization method of creating a variable instead of declaration and assignment. So let's save this, Ctrl S, and then let's recompile this code. Let's run it. So you notice 120 get displayed on the console. You notice 120 get displayed on the console. So as you know, the byte data type, it can only hold a value of minus 128 to plus 127. So if I try to put in a value greater than plus 127, it's going to show me an error. And if I try to put in a value less than minus 128, it's going to show me an error. So let me try to type in 130, for instance. Let's save this, Ctrl S, and then let's come and recompile this code. So you see what it says: error, incompatible types, possible loosely conversion from int to byte. So it means that byte data type, they cannot contain values that are greater than 127 or are less than minus 128. No, they cannot contain those values. So what do you do to remedy this situation? And if you need a value that is greater than that, you can go ahead and decide to use the short data type. Okay, so let's type in short. Let's do away with the byte and type in short. Okay, so you see short number 130. So let's recompile this code and then let's run it. So you see 130 get displayed on the console. Actually, the short data type, it can only hold a value that is a little less than minus 32,000 and a little above 32,000. So if I try to type in, let's say 50,000 for instance, or let me say 54,000 for instance, and then let's save this. Let's recompile this code now. So you notice it said incompatible types, possible loosely conversion from int to short. So what it means is that this short data type, it cannot hold a value that is greater than 32,000, and it cannot hold a value that is less than minus 32,000. Okay, it can only hold a value a little above 32,000 and a little less than minus 32,000. So you have to know the kind of number you are dealing with and know the right data type to use at every point in time. Okay, so since we want 54,000, a byte cannot hold this type of value, a short cannot hold this type of value. So what do? We go with an int, because an int can hold a very large number of values. So we have to type in int, let's say number 54,000. If we try to print this now, let's save this and recompile this code. Now let's run it. So you see our 54,000 get displayed on the console. All right, now this is how data types works in Java. So if I try to print, let's say 5 million for instance, 5 billion rather for instance. So if I try to print let's say 5 billion for instance, so let me see, thousand, 10 of thousand, 100 of thousands, million, 10 of millions, 100 of millions, and then billion. So this is 5 billion now. So I said int number is 5 billion, so I'm assigning 5 billion to an integer. The name of this variable is number. Okay, so I'm assigning 5 billion to it, and an integer cannot store up to 5 billion. Actually, an integer can store a little less than minus 2 billion and a little above plus 2 billion. So 5 billion is a very large number for an integer, so an integer cannot store this. So let me try to save this. Let me save this and try to recompile this code and see what it's going to give me. So you see what it says. It says integer number too large. Integer number too large, it means that 5 billion, it's a very large number for an integer. An integer cannot store up to 5 billion. It can only store a little above 32 billion and a little above minus 32 billion. So what do we do to remedy this situation? We bring in the long data type. So when you type in long, let's say number and all of this, at the end of the value, you make sure you append the letter L. Okay, whether you use capital letter L or small letter L is all the same thing. But you can see this small letter L, it looks like one, the number one. So most programmers recommend you using capital letter L so as to differentiate it from number one. Okay, so long number 5 billion, and then you append the letter L at the end of the value. Okay, so let's save this, Ctrl S, and then let's try to recompile this. So let's run the program. So you see our 5 billion get displayed on the console. Now long data type, they can store a little above 9 quintillion and a little above minus 9 quintillion. So that is the use of the long data type. Now what will now happen if I want to store, let's say, decimal numbers? So if I try to put, let's say let me say 54.678 for instance, and then let's save this. So you can see this data type is a long data type. Okay, is a long data type. So we say long number is 54.678. So let's try to run this let's try to compile this code and see what it shows. So you see what it says. It says possible loosely conversion, incompatible types. It says possible loosely conversion from double to long. Okay, so if you like, okay, maybe someone will say I forgot to append the letter L. Now let me append the letter L there. You see, it's even showing me red already. It's trying to show me what I'm doing is wrong. So there is no need of going on to say let me even recompile this code. Already you can see here it's showing me red, so it means that I'm already wrong. So there is no point. So what you do to remedy this situation is that you create a data type that can store a decimal value. Okay, so that's where the float and double data type comes in. Okay, so now if I come here and I type, let's say float, I type float for instance, and then I save this. Okay, now let's recompile this code. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. I was supposed to append the letter F. For the float also, you append the letter F at the end of the value. Okay, that's why it's showing me error. You can see it says incompatible type, possible loosely conversion from double to float. So you have to append the letter L. Sorry, I forgot. Let's save this and then let's run this, recompile this code again. Now let's run it. So you see our 54.678 get displayed on the console. So this is how the float data type. So it stores decimal values. Okay, but you have to append the letter F, please, whether capital letter F or small letter f. You see I've changed it to small letter f. Let's try to recompile it. It will still give us the same answer or the same output. So now let's run it. You see it gave us the same output, 54.678. so whether the capital letter F or the small letter f is all the same thing. The same thing applies to the long, but like I said, it's recommended you use the capital letter. Okay, the float data type now, for instance, because now this float data type actually is limited. So if I try to, let's say 54 point, let me say let me type in, let's say 6 to, let me type in, let's say 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So now I've typed in 7 numbers after the decimal. You can see 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, let me add one more, so 9. So I've typed in now 9 letters after the decimal point. Now let's save this and then let's try to run this. Okay, let's try to run this. Okay, we've compiled it. Now let's try to run it. So you notice what get displayed on the console, 54.23457, but here I typed 87. What happened to the 87? It gets truncated. Why? Because a float data type can only store up to 6 to 7 digits. Okay, it cannot store more than 7 digits, as you have seen here. You can see, let's count the number of digits. You see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. It can only store 7 digits. It cannot store more than 7 digits. Okay, so that's how the float data type. So if I want more digits to be displayed after the decimal, I have to use the double data type. Okay, so I will come here and type double. I will just type double here. Okay, sorry, LE. Okay, now let's save this. I will save this. Okay, now let's try to recompile this same code. Let's try to recompile it and then let's run it now. So you notice the double, it displayed this 54.234567679, and then it added 56055. The double data type, it can store up to 15 digits. Okay, it can store up to 15 digits. Okay, so if you count the number of digits here, you see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. You see it can store up to 16 digits. Okay, so that's how the double data types work. So the difference between the float data type and the double data type is that the double data type has more precision when compared to the float data type. You can see what the float data type here, it truncated the remaining values we type, but the double data type did not truncate it. In fact, it even added more to it. The double data type has more precision when compared to the float data type. So whenever you need precision when you are dealing with decimal numbers, I will advise that you try as much as possible to use the double data type. It gives you that precision you need, most especially when you are dealing with statistics, where you are calculating sensitive figures. You know, in statistics, just 0.1 can change everything you are working on. So when you need that precision, I would recommend you use the double data type in such cases. Okay, so let's see the character data type and let's see how it works. So we say let's type in car and then the name of car, let's say symbol, for instance, symbol equal to, so you put in a single quote. Okay, put in a single quote and then let's put the @ symbol, for instance, and then we have to come here at this system.out.print. See, the variable here is number, but the variable that we want to use is symbol. So let's type symbol. Okay, symbol. So let's save this and then let's run this program. Let's recompile it rather. Okay, sorry, let's recompile it. So it has compiled successfully. Now let's run it. Now you notice the @ symbol get displayed on the console. So this is the character symbol. The character symbol prints, or it displays only one symbol. So for instance, if I try to display more than one symbol, it's going to show me an error. Let me say the $sign for instance, and the @ symbol. Save this and then let's recompile this. It's going to definitely is going to show me an error, okay, because the character data type only stores one value and it must be within a single quote. Please take note, it must be within a single quote. So if it's letter M you are going to use, no problem. If it's letter K you are going to use, make sure it's only one value that is inside the single quote. You cannot use more than one value, okay. So that is how the character data type works in Java. So let's use the Boolean data type. Let's see how the Boolean data type works. So let's say Boolean, let's say status, and then let's make the status to true. Let's change it here from symbol to status. Okay, now let's save this and then now let's try to recompile this code. Successfully compiled, and now let's run it. So you see the status displayed here is true because we set the status here to true. So we say Boolean status true. The Boolean data type actually it stores only two values, true or false. So I can change this true to false now and then recompile this code. It will you see it will still give me the status that I put in here. So it says false here because I put false here. So the Boolean data type, it holds only two values, true or false. If you try to put anything here aside from true or false, it's going to show you an error. So let me try to type in the YouTube handle name. So let's say Citadel Academy. It's going to show you a very big error, okay. So you see it says string cannot be converted to Boolean, okay. So already this is a string, so you cannot use a Boolean for a string, okay. A string for a, when you want to use a string, you use a string data type. A Boolean is either you use true or false, nothing short of that, nothing more of that, okay. So this is just how data types works in Java. So I believe you've understood data types and variables in Java. Let me just do a quick recap. Like I said, there are two ways of creating a variable in Java. The first way of creating a variable is called declaration and assignment, while the second way of creating a variable is called initialization. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. Please like, comment and subscribe to the YouTube handle to keep it going. Thank you so much. Do have a nice day. God bless you.